Okay, good afternoon, Southern Maryland Realtors. This is Chad Humphrey, Director of Industry Relations over at DotLoop, and we're going to go ahead and get started. We are a little bit light, which doesn't surprise me for a Friday. About half the people that have registered are on, so don't want to hold you up. Definitely appreciate you being on time, and so we're going to go ahead and get started. A couple little notes before we get started. One thing that I do suggest is that you have a pad of paper and a pen out. A lot of times it's easier just to take a couple notes here and there. You can always revert back to the video in areas that you want to review or go back through. So I am recording the video. This will be sent out to all of you after this. Another note on there, if you want to jot down on your notepad there, just jot down dltrainers@dotloop.com. Again, that's the email address, dl as in dotloop, dltrainers@dotloop.com. If you have any questions or need some assistance with anything, you can go ahead and just shoot me an email. I could have somebody from our support team reach out, or if it's something that I could help you with, I'll do that right away. Second thing is on the right side of your screen, you're going to see a GoToWebinar control panel. That GoToWebinar control panel expands and collapses via an orange arrow at the top of it. And in there, you'll see various tabs. One of the tabs is going to be questions. If you do have a question, go ahead and type it in there. I most likely will hold all questions till the end. We do have quite a bit to get through here. Also, if you didn't join us on the webinar 2 days ago, which was part one, which is getting started, or if you are new to DotLoop, you're probably going to be very lost in this webinar. This webinar is going to be more of the advanced features in DotLoop. Most of the advanced features in DotLoop are going to require a premium account. There are some features that I will talk about, which is going to be our negotiating platform, which is part of the free version of DotLoop. But basically, the free version of DotLoop is going to give you what you need to get a deal done. It's going to give you access to the interactive forms. It's going to give you and your clients unlimited electronic signature. It's going to give you 1 gig of PDF storage, which is about 24,000 documents. And it's going to be able to give you the ability to add third parties and share documents with those third parties. Most of the other features inside DotLoop are going to be under the premium account. The premium account is $29 a month or $299 a year. If you do pay a year up front, you do get about 2 months free. I will have a special. There's no contract on the premium, so it's just month to month. But I will have a discounted price at the end of the webinar for the first month. If you want to if you're not using premium and you want to try it out, and I'll give you a deal that makes it really cost effective to give it a try. So we'll go ahead and get in here. The one thing I want you to think about of DotLoop is DotLoop is not a forms provider. There's other various forms providers that are in the space, and they basically, retype forms and put them in a web format, and then, typically you'd upgrade to buy an electronic signature program for those. DotLoop is a lot different than that. Our free model is basically a forms platform, but when you get into some more of the advanced features, DotLoop really becomes a collaboration platform. And so we're going to talk a lot about those premium features because a lot of those are in the DotLoop premium account. And again, I'll talk about what's a premium feature and what's part of the free version, so you can really define what it is that is the value add for the premium. Again, take notes. It's going to probably seem a little bit like we're drinking through a fire hose, but we'll get through it. If you review the video and then maybe role play with another agent on an offer and a listing, you'll pick up DotLoop very, very quickly. It's really designed for all levels of tech savviness. So let's go ahead and get started. Of course, everybody knows you just go to dotloop.com to get signed in. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And that's going to take us to our loops page. The loops page, again, is what we call our transactions. The reason we call them loops is we want to bring people together to be able to collaborate in an online workspace. So if you think of DotLoop as just a conference table up in the cloud, where you're going to sit with your client You're going to, complete the paperwork. Maybe it's an offer on a property. Maybe it's a listing on the property. And then, you're going to pass the document over to your client that's sitting next to you. They're going to sign it. They're going to pass the document back to you. Same thing in DotLoop. And then when you meet with the listing agent or the other party's agent and you pass the document to them, they meet with their client. You're sitting next to them. They make their changes, and then they pass the document back to you. So, if you think of DotLoop as just an online collaboration table, just up in the cloud. And so we're going to do a little role play here, and I'm going to be working off of 2 DotLoop accounts. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is, if I was a listing agent and I have a listing on a property, and I want to figure out how to leverage people that come to the open house. So when I go into DotLoop, one, we've talked about when you go in and you add the documents, the libraries under My Account. So when you go into your profile icon and go to My Account, you're going to add the Southern Maryland Association of Realtors. You're also going to add the Maryland Association of Realtors. Both of those are going to provision via your NRDS number. And so you just want to make sure in your settings that your NERDS number and your last name match with what you have with NAR. That's what we're going to use to provision for access to the forms. And we talked about that in part 1. So we're not going to talk about that here, but you do want to have both of those libraries available. And then at that point, you're going to have them right here: Southern Maryland Interactive Forms, Maryland Interactive Forms. Now, these subfolders are part of the premium edition. Because you're probably going to use a mix of each one of these forms, in my mind, it's beneficial that both of these are activated, but also that you have subfolders so you can pull the documents you need for a listing from the state forms and the documents you need for a listing from Southern Maryland, and you create a listing form. We have a quick question, so no sound, huh? Susan, check to see if maybe your computer's on mute. For those that are that are on the webinar, can you just give me a quick yes? I can see your screen, and yes, I can hear you. So I can see if this is an isolated case or in fact, yep. Okay, so I got yes on both. So Susan, see if your computer's on mute is going to be my guess. All right, perfect. Thanks, everybody. Again, we'll keep most of the questions to the end there. I just wanted to check that just in case we were having technical difficulties. So again, in the premium, the benefit of having these subfolders, which would just be adding a folder right here, is I don't have to go into each one of these to pull the documents into a listing or into an offer. I can go and select the forms that I want and create a conventional purchase, an FHA purchase, my listing agreement, and so on. Okay, so we're going to have that. So let's go ahead and go back to our homepage. Again, always clicking on the DotLoop logo will take me back to the homepage. And now that we're back at the home page, I've already started a listing. And there's one thing that I want to point out here when we start a listing is, one, you're going to have probably individual folders. In this case, I have the actual listing agreement, which will be the listing agreement. And then this folder here for shared documents are going to be the documents that I would share with people if they're made an offer on the place and I need those documents to go out. Maybe I did a pre-inspect to try to cut off any worries of somebody, trying to get us to do extra things. Probably pull preliminary title just so that I know that there's no liens, there's no funny stuff that I have to worry about. And then the property disclosure that my seller would have signed for that. A couple of the other features, when you take a listing, you're going to do open houses. You're going to probably have a sign-in sheet that, people want to come into. And a lot of times people are reluctant to fill out that sign-in sheet because they know that you're just going to spam them, or that's their fear. And so, as a prior broker and realtor myself, 11 years up in Seattle, you got to provide value first. And so if I was utilizing DotLoop and I was at an open house, I would have my sign-in sheet on my iPad or on my laptop in electronic form, one that's going to tell people that you're a forward-thinking, tech-savvy agent. But also, when they go into DotLoop, or you're in DotLoop and you're filling out the information, or they're filling it out on your iPad, you can then just tell them, yeah, I use DotLoop, to manage all my transactions. the nice thing about it is, hey, do you guys do electronic signatures yourself? Probably not. They're probably not going to go buy a electronic signature account if they don't have to. But one of the value adds is that you can give them a free DotLoop account, which will allow them to keep all of their real estate stuff in one space. So if they're looking at multiple houses, they can create multiple loops and keep documents specific to those different homes that they're looking at or they're interested in. They can also use DotLoop for their own electronic signature. So when I go into here, one of the things that I would probably do is add an additional folder here, and I would name this folder Open House Info. Okay, and maybe I have a registration form that I want to fill out. Of course, that's not going to be in the Southern Maryland Association documents. It's not going to be in the Maryland documents. But one of the features in the premium, and you can do this on the free too. The big difference is on the premium, you can save it as a template and use it over and over. So if I go into my computer and I find where I have the open house registration form, I can bring that document in, open it up, and of course it's going to be a flat PDF. Now you'll see here that this PDF is also spun sideways. In the free edition, that's just the way it is. There's not a whole lot you can do with this document. In the premium edition, I can go in and I can rotate the document. So if I want to rotate the document right, now the document's straight up and down. But it's still a flat PDF. There's not a whole lot that I can do with it. Well, in the free edition, you can add signatures, you can add a text box. In the premium edition, you can add all sorts of stuff. So if I want to make this document interactive, I can add a text box. If I hold down the Shift key, I can put the text boxes one right after another instead of having to go up and select text box again. And I can go through and make this document interactive. And of course, once you do this, you would then go in and just tidy it up, right? So you'd go in and expand the field so it's all the way to the end. And again, I won't do all these just because it's going to take me a minute here to do it. But we'll do a few. Now, these checkboxes here, where you're going to have an either or, just know that on an either or, you want to use the radio button. So a checkbox will allow them to check both. A radio button will allow them to only check one. So if I go in and I add a radio button to there, now for the next one, I'd have to add a radio button again. And so on. So the goal here is your registration form is now going to be on an interactive form. It's going to be electronic. So what we want to do here is we're going to go in and we're going to save this as a template. Now on the free edition, you're going to have to do those fields each time. It'll still allow you to put text boxes in. It won't allow you to do the checkboxes or radio button, so it's not going to work on there. But in the premium edition, I can actually save this as a template. So I'm going to save the changes, and now it's going to save in my personal documents, which is in the folder in my templates. So now when I go in here to the listing, and let's say that this document isn't here. Again, remember that we don't have a delete button. Archive is delete. And so now if I want to add a document here, I can add from my templates. I go into the personal section, and this is already made to be interactive. So I can go in there and I can open this up, and the interactive fields will remain. Okay? So when I am at a open house, I'm going to have my computer up, and I'm going to say, hey, would you mind signing in to our open house? And what I'll do is I'll send you out the information on this property so that you can have that. But also, one of the benefits that I do for my clients and anybody that I actually meet is I'm going to give you a free DotLoop account. That account's going to let you guys have unlimited electronic signature. if you're changing your car insurance or you need to sign a document for your kid's field trip, whatever that may be. But the thing is now I'm giving them something of value, right? And every time they use that account, they're going to be thinking of me. So I would also go in here and add a document to my open house info, and I'd probably put the open house flyer in here. So now when I sign somebody up for an account here, maybe I add a person, and that person is going to be the open house people that came by. I can then immediately just click this document, share that document with that person, and now they have a DotLoop account, but they're also going to be reminded of me because I'm the one that gave them that DotLoop account. Likewise, if I need somebody to fill out this open house sheet, again, I'll have it on my iPad. If I have the premium account, I have the iOS app on my iPad. If I'm using a tablet that's not an Apple tablet, it's an Android device, DotLoop is still going to work. It's just going to work on the browser. So I would have, this document opened up on my browser. I would just put in their information, click it, and then I'd create an account for them inside DotLoop, send them out the open house flyer, what other information I want them to have, and then possibly, say, hey, if I run into other homes that are like this, if you're not working with an agent, why don't I send you some properties? And instead of just emailing them a list of listings, why not put that list of listings inside DotLoop and share it with them that way? So that way they're going into their DotLoop account. Now you're getting used to that DotLoop account. Okay. So now that we've done that, let's say that somebody came by our open house and now they're ready to make an offer on the property. So I'm going to get out of this account right here, and I'm going to go into another agent's account that would be utilizing DotLoop. So let me go ahead and close out of that, open up the other account, and this would be the other agent's account. Okay. So this is another agent utilizing DotLoop, and their client went and saw your open house, or they brought them by and they're ready to make an offer. So they're going to create a loop. They're going to name the loop the buyer. Oh, one thing I do want to go back to here before we do this is inside your listing, when you take a listing inside DotLoop, you can make that listing searchable to anybody else that's using a DotLoop account. And there's a few things that you need to do that. So one is you need to go in and obviously create the loop. You need to make yourself the listing agent. So you want to make sure that you're listed as the listing agent. And then when you go into the edit detail sections, you want to make sure that, just one second here, I logged out of my other Firefox window. Okay, you're going to go into the detail sections. You want to make sure the loop is active. So if you're taking notes, to make your listing searchable to other users of DotLoop, the listing has to be active. You have to be listed as a listing agent. And the property address, the city, and the MLS number are going to be what's searchable in DotLoop. So make sure that your address is correct, make sure your MLS number is correct, and make sure your city is correct. So those are the steps that you need to make sure that your listing is searchable within DotLoop. Again, real quickly, listing loop has to be active, or loop status has to be active. You have to be listed as a listing agent, and then just make sure that the address, the city, and the MLS number are correct. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and go back into the other agent that's going to make an offer on your property. So we have here that here's the offer that they're going to put in. They're going to go into the edit detail section. And now that their buyer has a property, right? Because prior to that, the buyer, all you would have is just probably a buyer representation agreement. But now that you found a property, now you're going to start editing some details and put some information in. So we're going to list it that this is a sale or purchase for a transaction. And then as I go in here, and start putting in the address. The city is what makes it searchable. So if I start with Denver, but again, if I put the street number in, street name, and then the city, it's going to come up. So if I come in 3201 and then 14th Avenue South, and then I go in to add the MLS number, it should come up. I did this in a demo prior, so I'm wondering if because I closed out the window, it's not going to search for that property again. So let me just try one more time here so I can demonstrate this to you here. Let's start a new loop. Sorry about that. And let's just call this Michelle Wadlow purchase. Create the loop, edit the details. This is going to be a sell or purchase, 3201. There we go. So what's going to happen is because I made that listing searchable, now it's going to ask me, is this the listing you're talking about? Well, yeah, that is. So let's just go ahead and put that in. And, it auto-populates basically the address and, the listing agent information in there. We'll put a purchase price of, let's say, $280,000. And we'll do earnest money of $6,000. Okay, and we won't fill out the rest of this. But again, the more that I fill out here, the more it's going to auto-populate the forms. So I've matched it with that listing. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And now I'm going to go back to the loop. And I'm going to add documents. So I'm going to add the purchase agreement. So I'm going to go into the MAR forms. And forgot what the name of the purchase agreement was in here. Contract of sale. Okay, so I'm going to add that. I'm going to add the document. And then I can go in and I can fill out the offer that I want to put in. Okay, so I want to add my buyer. So again, I had that other demo loop there set. So let's go back here for 1 second and add my buyer in here. I had him in the other loop there. So Michelle Wadlow. And I want to assign her role. Anybody that I add to the loop, I want to make sure and I want to assign their roles because now what it's going to do is it's going to tag every area that her name would go and also tag every area that she would need to sign or need to initial. So we'll go ahead and add the person. And now let's go ahead and open up this again. And we got the listing agent, Max Realtor is the buying agent. My buyer's already listed here, and I'm going to assign. Now you'll see that the field assignments have been done. It's also filled in part of the information from when I put it into the detail page. So the offer is today, and I'll have to check on this. This should have mapped the seller or the buyer's name. Seller I'll get off of the selling report. Okay, and so on. So now as we go through, you'll see it's already tagged where the buyer needs to sign. And probably somewhere near the bottom, it's going to tag where I would need to sign as well. One of the benefits of the premium edition or the advanced features inside DotLoop is typically what I would do is I would have to send this out to my client. My client would have to open up their email and sign it. Well, with the premium edition, one of the advanced features is you can do an in-person signing. And so if I select here and I'm on my computer, I'm making the offer for my client right there. I'm not having to say, okay, well, sit tight. Let me go to the office, fill it out. I'm 100% mobile, 100% paperless. I don't have to worry about driving to the office, making the offer, and then finding my client and all that. I can do it right on the spot. Same thing with a listing. One of the huge benefits of DotLoop, and especially the premium edition, is I can take the listing right on my iPad or on my laptop, and I can host an in-person signing. So I'm sitting with Michelle. I'm going to host an in-person signing. Would you like to save? So yeah, I want to save the document. And now it's going to tell me to just pass the pad or pass the document over to my client. So I'm going to select continue. I'm going to hand the device over to Michelle, and she's going to sign. Now with this, it's going to ask her to actually sign with a stylus or with her finger. Okay, it's not going to give just the basic typed font, because this is what we're going to use to verify that this is her signature. So in this case, we'll just say it's Michelle. I'm on a laptop, so it's kind of hard. And let's just say that this is MW, and she's just going to adopt and sign. Of course, if you use a stylus or one of those pins that has a soft rubber tip, it makes it very easy to sign. So when she signs this document, she's acknowledging the consumer consent disclosure as well as the terms of use. So she's going to adopt and sign, and then simply just go through and sign her offer on all the various areas that she would need to sign. Again, I probably should have picked a document that didn't have 15 signatures. Okay. And she's got one more signature, and she's good to go. Another thing that's a nice feature inside DotLoop, we talked about this in the first one, was if I emailed this document out to Michelle and she had a question, she would typically call my cell phone. I might be in a meeting. She's going to get my voicemail. I get out of the meeting. I call her back. She's not available now. I get her voicemail. This message box is almost like an instant message in here. So if your clients have any questions at all, they can simply click this message box here. They can send a message to you, and it's going to go into your email, which will probably ping your cell phone. You can respond back right away. So she's now done signing. I'm going to go ahead and confirm signing. And now it's going to ask her to sign up for a DotLoop account, or if she already has one, she would sign in, which, typically you probably would have already had them have a DotLoop account. And now it's going to revert over to her account. Okay. So we're going to go back to my account, which would be the buying agent making an offer on a property. Okay, so your client has signed the document, and now what you want to do is you're going to go and you're going to send this offer over to the other agent. Now, because the other agent was a DotLoop user, because you found the property searchable, I can just share right within DotLoop. Let's select this just for a second and download this to a PDF. And I'll also show you what would happen if somebody just emailed you this offer, as if they did an offer on another system and their client signed it, how you could work with that as well. So for right now, we're going to make an offer on this property. So we're going to share the document, and we're going to share the document with the listing agent. Now, you have multiple permissions inside DotLoop. The first one's view only, obviously very self-explanatory. Signing, self-explanatory. Fill and sign would be like a seller property disclosure where they have to fill out certain blanks and they can sign it. And then we have a portion of DotLoop called VersionNow. This is a portion of our product that we have one of our many patents on. And what this product does is this allows us to negotiate with the other agent without ever having to leave DotLoop, without ever having to print out the document, cross something off, initial it, and sign again. And you can work with the other agents that are using DotLoop within the system. Now, this part is available both on the free edition and the premium edition. So this is a free feature. So I want to make sure if I'm going to do this, I'm going to send the offer to the other agent that is using DotLoop with full edit rights. because what they're going to do is they're going to make the changes right on the document, and we'll show you how this works. Hey Chad, here is our offer. Thanks. Now I can also attach this as a PDF. In the free edition, you're not going to be able to attach to a PDF, but in the premium edition, I can attach it to a PDF. So if I'm sending an offer to an agent that I'm not sure if they use DotLoop, I'll probably attach it as a PDF so that they can print it off. Again, DotLoop is designed to work with all levels of tech savviness. So if you don't know if that agent's using DotLoop, or if that agent is paperless, or if that agent likes electronic signature, attach it as a PDF, and that way they can do what they want with it. When they send it back to you in a scanned format, you can just forward that right into your DotLoop upload email address, and you can keep running the way that you want to run your business. So attach it as a PDF, and then share the document over with the other agent. Okay, so the document's been shared. Now, this is a huge feature that I really like inside DotLoop. When we talked about it in part 1, is when I go in and I get my email, and you'll see now that Max Realtor shared a document with me, and I open it up, and I say, okay, well, you know what, here's the offer, thanks, and then I'm going to go ahead and view the document, and it's going to take me right to the document. Well, one of the features that I love inside DotLoop is that it's going to give me a read receipt. So a lot of times I might work with an agent, I send an offer over, and they're like, well, yeah, you didn't get the house, sorry, I never saw the offer. Are you sure you sent it to me? Well, the nice thing about this is in the activity log on every loop, it's going to mark every single thing that's been done. So you'll see here that the document's been shared with Chad. Maybe it's going to take a second here, might be a hold up, but you'll get a read receipt. That was what I wanted to talk about here. Is inside DotLoop, they will give you read receipts. So it'll let you know that I actually viewed the document. There might be a little bit of a delay just because it's middle of the day. Might be a little bit of a backup on the system there. So now I'm the listing agent, and I received an offer on the property. Okay, it's right here. So what I would probably do now is I would mark this as one of my offers. So let's name this, rename the folder, and we'll make this Michelle offer. Okay. And again, I can restack these however I want. So if I want all the offers on the bottom here, I can do that. But now that they've made the offer, right, and so I know who that person is, okay, it's going to add the other agent as a person in the thing. I'm going to assign that person's role as the buying agent. And again, Max is only going to see the documents I choose to share with him. Right now, the only thing he knows is that he sent this offer over to me. He hasn't seen anything else. So once I get this offer, I'm probably going to want to take the shared documents that they need, and I would go and share that document with them, with the other agent. So I don't need to share it with my clients. So I can uncheck them. I can give it to the other realtor and just say, here are the documents your clients will need to review. Again, I don't know if their clients are paperless or not, so might as well add it as a PDF. Again, attaching to a PDF is going to be a premium feature. It's not available in the free. But again, if I'm in this advanced webinar, there's a good chance I'm probably using premium, or you're going to find pretty quickly that you're going to need premium. And I'm going to go ahead and share that document. Okay, so I've already shared the documents with them. They need to review those. And now I'm going to meet with my clients and review the offer. So I'm with my buyer and seller. I say, hey, we got an offer on the property, and we're going to review the offer. So we see the offer is $280,000. We had the property listed at $380,000. So in typical transactions, I would print this off. I would cross it out. I would make my change. My buyers would initial it, and I would then send it over to the other party. Or in some areas, I would add a counteroffer addendum form make what the addendum changes are, and then send that over as well. Well, in DotLoop, we have this VersionNow product. So if I want to make this change, so 280 is too low, I'm going to change this to, let's say, 360,000. When I do that, what it's going to happen is it's going to give me a pop-up message that says, if I make this change, the other party's signatures are going to go away until they acknowledge the change that I've made for them, or that I'm making. So the VersionNow technology is going to erase signatures anytime a change is made, and then they would need to re-sign to acknowledge those changes. So we're going to make the change. So we're going to say, okay, that's fine. So we're going to change this to 360,000, and we're going to save the document. And now, since I'm with my clients, right, I'm just going to go into an in-person signing, and then I'm going to have them sign the documents, right? So one would have to do it one time, the other person would have to do it the next time, and then that document's signed. So we're going to X out of that because that's going to take a minute to go through 15 signatures. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save and share this document. So I could sign it, share it with my my clients if I need to email them to have them sign it. In this case, let's say that they did sign it. I'm going to send it back over to the other agent, again with full edit rights. Here is our counteroffer. Good luck. Again, attaches a PDF, share the document. So now I've shared the document with the other agent. And again, when you look at the activity log, it's going to make note of every single change that I've made. So there's never a question on if something was done or when something was done. It's going to take note of everything that you do here. And if I click on the modified document, it's going to show me the modification. But let's go back into the other agent, because we counteroffered their property or their price. You'll see now that it's been updated. He's also going to get an email from me saying that I shared a document. Here's the 3 documents that I shared that they need. Here's the document that I shared that I made a counteroffer. And when they go into this document, it's going to highlight where the changes were made. So they can see right away that the change is made to 360,000. And then again, if they want to counteroffer back and say, well, we'll do 280, my client's signatures would come off. And it goes back and forth in what's called this VersionNow. You're also going to be able to see the history of the document by clicking next to the document, the drop-down arrow, go into the history, and we're now on version 6. So you can go back and see that version 1 was when they made the offer. Version 2 is when they signed it. Version 3 is when they sent it over. Version 4 is when I viewed the document. They're not going to see version 5 because version 5 was my proprietary conversation with my client, and then it went back to them, and it's version 6. I can download or view any of these prior versions to see what's been done. I can also go into the document, and if I click on any of these fields and then go up to the top here, I can see the history of that field. So if I go into this field and I click on the history, I can see that the field was added by myself. We put the price at 280, and then the other agent counteroffered at 360. So DotLoop, again, is going to record every single thing that happens here. So everything can be done paperless. Everything can be done in the cloud. And so if they make a change here, my client's signatures will go away. They sign it, and it goes back and forth in the VersionNow system. So if I was to get an offer from another agent, and they're not using DotLoop, so they're just going to send me an offer. Okay, and they're going to attach the document that we downloaded, right? But we're going to pretend this is a different offer that I'm getting. Okay, and they're going to send that over to me. So when I go into my email, here's the offer that was just sent to me. So I open it up. Again, I can go paperless. So I don't need to print this off. All I need to do is go into my DotLoop. And there's two things that I can do. I can add a folder. And this could be the Jones offer. I'm going to add from. I'm going to choose email. I'm going to select this email address. Go back into here. Forward that offer. Paste that email address in. And click send. And now what's going to happen is this offer is going to drop directly into this folder. Alternatively, we talked about before our upload email address, which is in the template section of your account. This upload email address right here, where I suggested before that you highlight it and you create a client in your email, a new contact, and that new contact is going to be named upload to DotLoop. So alternatively, I could have just forwarded this, typed U, there's my upload DotLoop account, and sent that over. Okay, and now what's going to happen is that'll come into my inbox, and then I just forward into the folder in the loop that it belongs to. So when I go back into my DotLoop account and I go back into that listing, and I have the Jones offer, and here's that offer that I forwarded. Now this is going to be a flat PDF because that client's not using DotLoop. So we don't know what this PDF is, but again, I can open this up. I can see that they offered $280,000, and in the free edition and the premium edition, I can negotiate on this. So I can go in, add a strike through, strike that price out. I can add a text box, and I can make this $340,000. And I can also add initial fields to where I would assign that to my buyer or sellers, excuse me. And if I'm with them, right, I can go back in, save the document. I can go in and I can host an in-person signing and have them sign the document. Alternatively, I could email that document out to them, have them initial it, and then forward it over to the selling agent. So when you think of DotLoop again as it's a technology that works better together. That's our slogan. And what it does is it allows us to work at any level that any of our clients or third parties or anybody else works with, and allows them to feel comfortable with the system. If they're using paper, that's fine. Use paper. I don't want to use paper. So when it comes back to me, I'm going to do it all electronically. If they don't want to use electronic signatures, that's fine. Print it out, sign it. But when you send it back to me, I'm going to be paperless. I'm going to use electronic. I'm going to sign electronically. So DotLoop is designed really to work with everybody in whatever level of capacity you want to, right? So there's the document there. And I would go ahead and share it out, have my client sign it, or I can do an in-person signing. And then, of course, I would just share it back out with the other agent. In this case, view only rights because they already sent it to me in paper, and they can get that over to them. So for those of you that are using DotLoop Premium, hopefully this gave you a wealth of information to play around with. I know it's a lot to kind of go through. For those of you that are on the free edition and think that a lot of this stuff would be kind of cool and you want to, try it out over the weekend, maybe you have an open house and you want to, try using a value add to get people's information. DotLoop Premium is $29 a month or $299 a year. There's no contract. If anybody wanted to try Premium, I can cut that price in half for the monthly rate. So if you just want to try it for a month, play around with it, it's $15. You'll probably go get a couple glasses of wine over the weekend. That'll be $15. So it is something that I have to manually put in. So if you do want to take advantage of it, you got to send me an email to dltrainers@dotloop.com. I'll contact you. We'll get that set up, get the premium activated so you can play around for a month. And then if you want to continue, it continues at $29 a month, or you could pay the year up front at that point. At the end of the 30 days, if you don't want to continue, just you notify and cancel the account there. So $15 I think is a heck of a deal to give premium a try and look at all the features you can try. We're going into the weekend. For those of you that have open houses and whatnot, you can play around with it. So if you want to take advantage of that, again, dltrainers@dotloop.com. Shoot me an email. I'll give you a call and I'll get that set up for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to the loop. And we've talked about all the, how we can keep these offers totally separate from everything else. So now we have a Jones offer, we have a Wadlow offer. The other feature that I really like inside DotLoop is this full task manager. So this task manager is going to allow you to assign tasks to anybody within the loop. It's going to allow you to assign tasks to any other third party. So if I want to add my inspector, I want to add my appraiser, I can do that and I can add these tasks. In the free version, all I'm going to be able to do is add a task for myself and set either it to be done this week, next week, and that's about it. In the premium version, I can assign tasks to my buyers, my sellers, my inspectors. I can give them specific due dates. So if I'm doing an open house on Sunday, I can let them know that I need this to be done by tomorrow because we have an open house on Sunday. I need the clutter from the garage to be done by tomorrow because we're having the open house. And then we're going to stage the home again by Saturday for the open house on Sunday. And now what's happened is this has just sent an email out to David to let him know that I have some tasks that I need him to complete. And when he completes them, it's going to start filling this in more and more. So you'll see that 25% of the tasks are completed because all I did is I signed the listing agreement. Once they complete these, that circle will continue to add on. So when you go back to your loops, you can very easily quickly see what tasks or if there's tasks that still need to be done. You can also click on your tasks up here, and this is a universal task reminder that's going to let you know what tasks need to be done on which one of your loops. Okay, so you'll see this one's on a different loop and so on. So that's the universal task reminder up there. So if you guys got some good stuff out of this, go into the question section or the chat section. Just let me know, yeah, this was great. Got a lot of good information. If you have any suggestions of stuff that you want me to go over or you think that I should explain better, I enjoy the feedback. It makes the webinars better. It's kind of hard when I'm doing a webinar. It's one way. So with that, I am going to send out the recording to everybody. And thanks, Kim. I'm going to send the webinar out to everybody. So again, I understand we just took a huge drink of water out of a fire hose, but look at the recording again. It's only roughly 50 minutes long. If you took notes, just kind of fast forward through the recording to the sections that you have questions and role play with another agent. If you're at an open house or something like that, there's usually a little bit of time to kill. Make a fake offer, send a thing over. And once you do it once, you'll understand it. The big difference in DotLoop, and this is something I had kind of an aha moment when I was in DC talking with a lot of the leadership from associations, is most of us, I don't know who else on the webinar, but most of us, including myself, we're from an older generation. And our generation, we're afraid to click around on stuff because a lot of times when we clicked around on stuff, we lost documents. It changed settings that we don't know how to get back. It was confusing. Well, with today's technology, you can click wherever you want. You're not going to break DotLoop. So click around and look at the different features. It's not like back in the day when I click on something in Word document. Now everything I type is highlighted in purple, and I don't know how to get that setting back, or I was clicking around to see what this did, and all of a sudden my document's lost and I can't get it back. And it's not that way anymore. And so with DotLoop, go in, click around, play around. Again, you're not going to break the system. So play around with it. If anybody wants to try the premium for $15 for a month, send me an email at dltrainers@dotloop.com. Other than that, go out, have a great weekend, sell some properties, list some properties, and have a great weekend. I'm going to stay online here for a little bit for anybody that has any questions. I'll answer them for you. Other than that, have an awesome weekend. Thanks a lot for taking time out of your Friday to join me today. Happy looping.